long as you've got an audience, you're happy.
Yeah, completely.
Go 7:45. Okay, I'm going to introduce you and then over to you. I won't waste much time.
Yeah, they're going to start. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, ready? Beto, aram se.
Okay, you know what? It's always worth doing this. So thank you for your patience, because a lot of time and effort has gone into producing this next. I'm not going to call it a performance. It's a kata. So it's not a performance actually. So, but even though you're on stage, but it's for the pleasure of Lord Sri Ram. It's for the pleasure of our eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and it's for the pleasure of all of you here who've attended today. So I urge you all, the lights are going to dim very shortly. I urge you all to now engage your minds and your hearts and your intellect completely and give yourself 100% now for the next hour and a half, hour and 15. We'll keep going for as long as you want, okay? And I think you're going to find it's going to be really worth it. So I'm not going to say any more other than to introduce the wonderful Sri Radharaman and his Sitayana Katha. Please put your hands together.
You can all now close your eyes and meditate upon Sri Ram and Sri Sita as the first bhajan is about to start.
Sitaram Jai Sitaram
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 Janaki Vallabh Sitaram
Janaki Vallabh Sitaram
Sitaram Jai Sitaram
Sitaram Jai Sitaram Sitaram Jai Sitaram
Sitaram Jai Sitaram
Sitaram Jai Sitaram
Sitaram Jai Sitaram
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम जानकी वल्लभ सीताराम जानकी वल्लभ सीताराम
मंगल भवनया मंगलहारी द्रवहु
सुदशरथ अजिर बिहारी राम सिया राम जय जय राम राम सिया राम जय जय राम मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी प्रभु सुदशरथ अजिर बिहारी राम सिया राम जय जय राम राम सिया राम जय जय राम जनकपुरी रघुनंदन आए नगर निवासी दर्शन पाए
सीता के मन
भाई राम सिया राम जय जय राम जनकपुरी रघुनंदन आई नगर निवासी दर्शन पाई
सीता के
मन भाई राम सिया राम जय जय राम रघुनंदन ने धनुष चढ़ाया राजाओं का मान घटाया सीता ने वर पाए राम सिया राम जय जय राम रघुनंदन ने धनुष चढ़ाया राजाओं का मान घटाया
सीता ने वर पाए राम पतित पावन सीताराम
निकट हमारे आओ, तुम हो पति व्रत है राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। पहले अग्नि परीक्षा पाओ, तुम हो पति व्रत है राम। राम सिया राम जय जय 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 राम।
Jai Shri Ram. Hare Krishna. So thank you everybody for being here today. Maybe just a little bit higher, Prabhuji. Diwali comes and goes so fast, and we are all engaged in service, and sometimes the deeper imports of the festival can just sometimes fly over our heads. So it is a great privilege and honor to be present here amongst all of you today, to share some very rare episodes of this wonderful time of Diwali. Whenever we hear about the Ramayan, we always talk about this pastime from the perspective of Lord Shri Ram. And this is done very correctly, as it should be done. However, I think all of you here have heard Ramayan many, many times. Please raise your hands if you've heard Ramayan before. There you go. Now, my question to all of you. Please raise your hands if you have heard Ramayan from the perspective, the words, and the eyesight of Sita. Maybe just one or two. So today, we'll be sharing the same pastime of Lord Ramchandra from the perspective of Sita. This is an extremely important moment for all of us here today. As we begin this very small katha, the nakshatra called Anuradha, the birth nakshatra of Shri Radha, just came into the constellation at 6:18 p.m. It just so happens the time at which all of us here have gathered to hear about Sita. According to the Chokariya, the Shubh Muhurat has also just begun. So it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to be here to hear about something which is very rare. The story of Sita I have termed as Sitayana. Sitayana has been based upon Valmiki Ramayan. The book which you are seeing in front here is the complete Valmiki Ramayan in 24,000 verses. So over the past few days, I have been through it, and I have taken the conversations of Sita in order to share this with all of you here today. And during this time, we are also going to get to appreciate something that she also went through on a very personal perspective. The Ramayan begins with the syllable Om. And Valmiki Rishi, he writes Om for a very particular reason. The Ramayan was written 896,000 years ago. And the reason why the Ramayan is absolutely authentic and absolutely correct, as you go through the Ramayan, it talks about certain places outside of India. It talks about the oceans, names of countries. It even talks about various symbols that are present on the earth to this day. How is it possible for Maharishi Valmiki to know, for example, when Sugriv asked Hanuman and Angad, go and search for Sita, and they came back empty-handed, They came back with no news. Sugriva asked Hanuman, go to South America. In South America, there is a place called Peru. In Peru, you will see the trident, the candelabra trident. That particular place, maybe Sita is there. After the Katha, you can Google this yourself. The candelabra trident exists in Peru to this day. How was it possible for Valmiki to know this 896,000 years ago? Similarly, the Valmiki Ramayan talks about so many other parts of this universe and this country. The Valmiki Ramayan begins with a beautiful question by Maharishi Valmiki to his guru Narad. In 4 verses, Valmiki Rishi asked Narad, I would like to write a book by which every person can gain inspiration and have an ideal example to follow in this world. And Valmiki Rishi asked, do you know of a person who is always truthful, who is always pure, who is always righteous? And in this way, Valmiki Rishi, he listed an entire deal of the greatest person and character and conduct that a person can possibly possess. Narad Muni, he said to Valmiki, yes, there is a person who matches the questions you have just asked. He has just been crowned king in Ayodhya. And over 96 verses, Narad Muni, he then summarizes the entire Ramayan to Valmiki Rishi. And that actually ends the interaction between Narad and Valmiki Rishi. Valmiki Rishi then felt, how do I possibly begin to document the character and the pastimes of this person called Ram? The very next day, Valmiki Rishi and his disciple Bharat, they went to the river Tamasa for a bath. And Valmiki Rishi, he began to enjoy the very beautiful atmosphere on the southern area of the Ganga, known as the Tamasa. And while enjoying the beautiful area of the Tamasa river, something extraordinary happened in front of Valmiki Rishi. This is a very important point for everyone to note, because what's about to take place concludes and outlines the very essence of the pastimes of Sita and Ram. It will take some thinking to understand this small incident, but please try to be very attentive and you'll understand the secrets of the Ramayan through one verse. This verse is the most important verse in the entire 24,000 verse Ramayan. While Valmiki Rishi was admiring the atmosphere of the Tamasa river, he entered the river, and on his right-hand side, he saw 2 cranes, 2 very beautiful white cranes, a male and a female, and they were enjoying pastimes together. They were chirping, they were talking in their own languages. It seemed as if the crane, male and female, were completely in love with each other. And Valmiki Rishi, when he saw this in the form of the 2 birds, his heart was overwhelmed with affection. He felt, if the 2 cranes can be so much in love with each other, why can't man and woman? Why can't teachers and students? Why can't children and parents be so connected and aligned to each other? Suddenly, as Valmiki was immersed in these thoughts, he saw on the left-hand side a hunter. And this hunter, at that point, he immediately grabbed his bow, his arrow, he drew the string, and he shot his arrow, and the arrow pierced the heart of the male crane. Immediately, the male crane fell onto the floor, dead. The female crane was weeping. She was crying, and she was not able to understand why somebody would come and take away the love of her life in front of her very own eyes while they are both spending time together. Valmiki Rishi, his heart immediately overwhelmed with compassion, and he recited the following verse. Ma nishad patishtatvam agama shashvati sama yat kronch mithodadekam avadi kama mohitam. O hunter, how dare you interrupt the relationship between two people? Why is it that you desired to kill the male crane? In fact, by shooting one arrow, you have killed both the male and the female. For this reason, you will definitely not live a long life, and your reputation will sink to hell. This is the curse that I give you for interrupting the love between two people. Valmiki Rishi, after reciting this verse, it occurred to him that as a sage, he shouldn't curse anyone. But he said to the Maharishi Bhardwaj, his disciple, the verse which I just spoke was in 4 parts, where every line consisted of 8 syllables. In fact, this verse is the first ever poem ever spoken on planet Earth. How is it possible that from this compassion, this shlok, the very first shlok has been spoken by me? Every verse in the scriptures is all in support of this particular incident, a life event in the pastimes of Valmiki. Valmiki Rishi, he meditated. Why did he become attached to 2 cranes? Why is it that the Nishad, the hunter, came and killed the female crane? And then he realized that this is nothing other than the story of Lord Ramchandra and Sita. The hunter represents Ravan. The male and the female crane represents Sita and Ram. And for no reason, Ravan, for his own selfishness and his own ambition, wanted to put an end to love and relationship between 2 people, Sita and Ram, in the form of the male and the female crane. However, in this episode, the most important point to note is that the female crane was not kidnapped. The female crane was not hurt physically. There was no disturbance to the female crane. It was the male crane who was hurt. It was the male crane who was attacked. It was the male crane who died. Every episode in the Ramayana is a direct attack on the heart of Lord Shri Ram. And Sita, she suffered every single one of those moments without Lord Ramachandra. That is why the Ramayana is actually more about Sita than Lord Shri Ram. Because Ram was the victim. Ram was the person who had to live separately from Sita. Sita, she is the Lord Ram's internal energy. She is all-powerful. This is why, due to the strength of her character, she was the person who was chosen to be kidnapped. She was the person who was chosen to live separately from Lord Ramchandra in a Shok Vatika for 1 whole year. Because she had the courage, the power, and the bravery. And therefore, Sita's character in the Ramayan cannot be underestimated. In every 1,000 verse of the Ramayan, the first letter is the sequence of the Brahma Gayatri mantra. Why is it that when you open the Valmiki Ramayan, every 1,000 verse is the first syllable of the Brahma Gayatri? Tat Savitur Varenyam. Savitur, Saraswati, Shri Radha. May she be meditated upon. Bhargaha Devasya, the internal energy of Lord Shri Ram, the internal energy of Lord Vishnu, of Lord Krishna. Dhimahi, may I always meditate upon. Diyo yo naha, may all of us, prachodayat, be completely in trance, in meditation on the grand personality of Sita. That is why 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, up to the first 24,000 verses, every syllable begins with the Gayatri mantra. Because the Ramayan is a book of worship, adoration, and surrender to Sita. That is why understanding the Ramayan from Sita's perspective is the deepest heart, desire, and objective of Maharishi Valmiki for anyone who is a devotee of Lord Sri Ram. In this introduction of the Valmiki Ramayan, I have taken out some very important events in the life of Rama and Sita to share with you her perspective. If we fast forward many years later, when Lord Ram and Sita got married, 12 years they lived together. In the 25th year of Lord Ram's life and the 18th year of Sita's life, they were asked to go into exile. They were very young. You may think they were 50, 40. They were actually very young when they went to exile. You know the story on how Bharat came to Nandigram to ask Sita and Ram to come back. Just before Bharat went to Nandigram, Bharat and Shatrugna, who had visited their uncle's house, who is Yudhajit, the prince of Kaikeyi. His sister was Kaikeyi, the mother of Bharat. Kaikeyi region is just between East Pakistan and the border of Punjab to this day. It's about 635 miles from Ayodhya. When Bharat found out that something very bad has taken place in Ayodhya, it took him 10 days to arrive in Ayodhya from East Pakistan during those days. When Bharat and Shatrugna arrived, they were bewildered. Where is Ram? Where is Sita? Where is Lakshman? While thinking like this, they heard that Dasharath and Kaikeyi had sent Ram to exile. At that very moment, on the doorstep, Kubja, the hunchback lady whose name is Manthara, appeared. Valmiki Rishi describes that when she came to the doorstep of the home of Bharat, she was bedecked in lots of jewels and ornaments. These were the gifts that Kaikeyi had given to Manthara for helping her to get rid of Sita and Ram. Valmiki Rishi actually describes Kubja, Manthara, as a monkey coming in to the home of Bharat, dressed like a princess, like a queen. Now, Shatrugna and Bharat, they are the incarnations of the Shankh and the Chakra of Lord Vishnu. The Shankh and the Chakra, as you all know, are not peaceful Ayudhas. They are not peaceful symbols of Lord Vishnu. So you can imagine what happened next. The moment Bharat saw Manthara, he dragged her across the floor, physically, and he threw her at the feet of Shatrugna. Now Shatrugna, he the Sudarshan Chakra. Shatrugna immediately, he actually hit Manthara. Valmiki Rishi describes this. And she began to cry so loudly that Kaikeyi came into the room. And Kaikeyi said to Bharat, "Please can you forgive Manthara? Please can you forgive me?" Now please be very attentive to what Bharat says to his own mother. And this will give you an indication about the true character and relationship between Bharat and his older brother, Lord Ramchandra. Bharat said, "Hanyamaham imam papam, Kaikeyim dushtacharinim, yadimam dharmiko ramo, nasuyan matra dhatakam." Bharat said, if Lord Ram had not considered Mother Kaikeyi as his own mother, I would kill you on this spot. This is what Bharat said to his own mother. You can imagine the love of the brothers, the love between Lord Ram and Shatrugna and Bharat. When Bharat arrived at Nandigram, he said to Lord Ram, "There is no way am I going to become king of Ayodhya. That's not going to happen. In fact, I will never enter Ayodhya from this day, because for me, Ayodhya is a place of curse. I have been cursed. Therefore, I am not going to return to Ayodhya, let alone become the king. At that point, Lord Ramchandra said to Bharat, if you love Sita, if you love me, then do this as a service to me. Bharat said, it's not possible. Bharat said, there's only one way I will follow your instructions. And Bharat said that, Ete hi savalokasya yogakshemam vidhasyataha. If you are to give me your golden sandals, I will place them on the throne of Ayodhya. And yogakshemya, anything that your subjects have will be elevated, and any needs of your subjects will be fulfilled. This is very similar to the verse of the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9, text 22, where Lord Krishna says, anyone who worships me, anyone who surrenders to me, yogakshemam vahamyaham. I personally carry to them what they lack and preserve what they have. In this way, you can see that the very words of Lord Ramachandra are to this day also in Bhagavad Gita. And that is why Lord Krishna shared these words to all of us 5,000 years ago. After Bharat left Nandigram, Lord Ramachandra saw that this place isn't good for us, because now the whole of Ayodhya will come to see us and speak to us. So on the advice of Bharadwaj, the same disciple of Valmiki, Lord Ramchandra, Sita and Lakshman then went to Chitrakoot. And in Chitrakoot, they entered and found the ashram of Maharishi Atri. Maharishi Atri, having welcomed Lord Ramachandra and Sita and Bharat, he said to Lord Ram, my wife Anasuya, she is the most powerful and the most courageous and the bravest woman on planet Earth. Our ashram had been devastated by drought. And my wife Anasuya, she performed penances for 10 full years. And after her penances, the Ganga began to flow through our ashram, by which the drought came to an end. In this way, Anasuya, who is one of the greatest females who have ever walked on this earth, please let Sita associate with her. Lord Ramachandra said, of course, Sita has a lot to learn from Mother Anasuya. They met each other, and Anasuya immediately, she began to instruct Sita. Now, for some of the husbands here, you may be very happy to hear the following words. Some of the ladies, you can take it as a pinch of salt. Anasuya, she explained to Sita that Yasam Strinam Priyo Bharata Tasam Loka Mahodayaha. That if a wife wholeheartedly loves her husband, whether in the home or in the forest, in our situation at work or elsewhere, such ladies, without doing anything else, they gain and attain the higher regions after death. She went on to explain, Nato Vashishtim Pashyami Badavam Vistashantyaham. She said, according to my view, I believe the best friend of a wife is her husband. In the Vivaha Sanskar, the wedding ceremony, the moment the male and female, the bride and groom, walk around the fire, the most important vow is taken at that time. Sometimes by the priest, actually it should be done by the bride and groom. Sakha saptapadi bhava, sakhyam te gameyam, sakhyam te ma yoshtyaha, sakhyam te ma yoshyaha. Many of you would have taken this vow unknowingly, maybe for the right reasons. The word Sakha appears 4 times in the Vivaha Sanskar. It is as best friends that bride and groom come together. Sakha saptapadi bhava. It is as best friends they walk around the fire. It is as best friends they live together. And sakyam te mayoshtyaha, sakyam te mayoshtyaha. As best friends, there's no question of separation. The very same verse which everyone bows against in the wedding ceremony was recited by Anasuya to Sita. Sita mentioned that I know these points factually because my father, my mother, and my relatives, they have all taught me this from my very birth. Anasuya then became extremely happy with Sita. Knowing what Sita is about to go through over the next year or so, she said to Sita, I would like to gift you with some items that you will find very useful for your year ahead. She gave to Sita 2 sacred silk cloths, 2 divine earrings. She also gave to Sita angarag, which is sacred paste that every time you smear on your body, Anasuya mentioned that you will look just like Shri Vishnu Avyayam, just like Lakshmi and Vishnu. In this way, Anasuya had indicated to all of us that the next year, which is about to enter for the life of Sita and Ram, will be a representation of Lakshmi Narayan establishing dharma on earth through their pastimes. Sita, having accepted these sacred gifts from Anasuya, she asked Sita an important question. She said to Sita, Tam katham shotamichami vistarena cha maithili. I heard about your marriage ceremony. I heard about the events which took place when you married Lord Ram. Can you please give me kata? Please can you tell me the story from your personal point of view? Sita became extremely happy for the first time to share her story of her marriage with Lord Ramachandra. Sita begins her story by saying that Maharaj Janak, some of you will know, he was ploughing the field in preparation for a yajna. Those days, before ceremonies were performed, the fields were purified, the land was purified, before the ceremony can take place. And at that time, while Janak was ploughing the field, he noticed that under the earth was a beautiful golden baby. Now this baby was quite unique because this baby had dark blue eyes. Sita, she had dark blue eyes. Why? Because Lord Ramchandra, his body is a Nilamani. His body is dark blue. And Sita's eyes knew no one else than Lord Ramchandra. Lord Ramchandra's form, his body, was physically covering the eyes of Sita from her very birth. That is why she has dark blue eyes. She explains to Anasuya that Maharaj Janak immediately, having been absolutely amazed that a child has come from the earth, using fists, he started to remove the dust from my body. And Maharaj Janak, being childless, he immediately put me on his lap and he said, Mameyam Tanaya, this baby from today will be my daughter. At that point, as it always happens in these stories, the heavens, the skies opened, the welkin opened, and the gods all proclaimed, Ayonijam Himam Gyatva. This baby, Ayonijam, who hasn't been born from any male and female, is now declared to be your very own daughter. Maharaj Janak and Maharani Sunayana, they had another daughter after Sita, whose name was Urmila. When Sita became of an age of marriage, Maharaj Janak, remembering the voice of the heavens, that Sita is Ayonijam. She is very unique because she has no human parents. Maharaj Janak was put into complete bewilderment. How do I marry someone for Sita? Who is good enough to marry Sita? At that point, Maharaj Janak, from his heart, he received inspiration from a very small event that took place while Sita was young. And some of you will know of this. Thousands of years ago, in fact, 16 generations before Janak Maharaj, when Daksha Prajapati had denied Lord Shiva his share of sacrifice, Lord Shiva brought out his bow and he decided to massacre all of the Devatas, all of the celestials. The Devatas, headed by Varun, they came to Lord Shiva and surrendered to him. Lord Shiva, being Ashutosh, he accepted them as children, disciples, and devotees. Lord Shiva, while going back to Kailas, he left his bow in the sacrifice of Maharaj Daksha, Prajapati Daksha. At that point, Varun, he gave the bow of Lord Shiva to Maharaj Devarat. Devarat, he was the 16th ancestor of Janak Maharaj. For 16 generations, this bow has lived and remained and been worshipped in Mithila. Once, while Sita was playing with a very small ball, the ball had come underneath the bow of Lord Shiva. This bow, it is so heavy that having tied a rope to the bow, Valmiki Rishi explains, it takes 5,000 soldiers to pull the bow. It takes a wheel cart of 8 wheels. The bow has gems, rubies, and bells throughout its entire, and every angle is very beautiful. The entire length of the Dhanush seems like it is nothing other than Ananta Shesh. Sita, to get her ball, she picked up the Dhanush with her fingers to put it to her side, and she collected her ball and just let go of the Dhanush. This is Sita. So Maharaj Janak said, whoever can match the strength of Sita, that person can take the hand of Sita. Now, all of you know how beautiful Sita is. We won't describe this. The Vedas go into so much detail. Hiranya Varanam Harinim Suvan Rajatastrajam Chandram Hiranmayim Lakshmim Jata Vedama Avaha. Sita is molten gold. Every angle, every limb of hers is as beautiful than that beauty can get. All of the celestial power in the universe resides in the toenail of Sita, let alone every other limb. In this way, the Vedas describe Sita as the most beautiful embodiment of beauty itself personified in creation. Every king, every person turned up to Mithila in order to try to complete this task of Maharaj Janak. Once upon a time, millions and millions of potential grooms all turned up at Maharaj Janak's palace. And Maharaj Janak, he mentioned, Idam cha dhanur udyamya sayajamya kurute naraha tasya me dhuite bharya bhavishyati na samshaya. Whoever can lift the bow with the left hand, with the right hand can string the bow and pull it, such a person will take the hands of Sita. After many individuals had tried to complete this task, Madhva Acharya explains about a very important person who came to try to marry Sita. This person is from one of the greatest lineages ever set on earth. His grandfather is Maharishi Pulastya, who was born from the mind of Lord Brahma. His son is Maharishi Vishrava. Maharishi Vishrava's son is Ravan. Madhvacharya explains, Samsvinna Gatara Parivritta Netra, 20 eyes of the Shanand were rolling and rolling and rolling after trying to lift the bow of Lord Shiva. Dashanam adyaha patita vimurchehi. When Ravan, after putting all of his strength into the bow, was unable to even move it an inch, patita, Ravan fell down on the earth, unconscious and defeated by Sita. That is the power of Sita. If Ravan is unable to move a Dhanush that Sita in her leisure was able to pick up, how can he cause any harm to Sita? This is why, out of the male and the female crunch, out of Sita and Ram, Sita accepted to leave Lord Ramachandra because of the strength of her arms, of her character, and of her virtues. These words will help us to cultivate and advance our own relationships with the deity of Sita here at Bhaktivedanta Manor. That's why it's so beautiful to think, contemplate, and talk about Sita. Lord Ram, Lakshman, accompanied Vishwamitra, as you all know, to protect his sacrifice. Vishwamitra said, that bow, Ram, Lakshman, you must see. It's so beautiful. No one's been able to move it. Let us just have a quick look at the bow and then we'll go back to Ayodhya because your father is sending messages. At that time, there was no WhatsApp, there was no text messaging, there was no phones. But Maharaj Dashrath was sending messenger after messenger. Bring Ram back. Bring Lakshman back. Otherwise, there will be no Ayodhya. There will be no Dharma. So Vishwamitra said, let us quickly go to see this Dhanush of Lord Shiva. Janak Maharaj greeted Ram and Lakshman and Vishwamitra. And Valmiki Rishi mentions there were thousands and thousands of spectators at that time when Lord Ram entered the sacrificial arena where Sita was holding a golden garland. Because her father was so unlimitedly wealthy for 16 generations, he had personally invented a garland of flowers which were made from gold. And this is what Sita was holding in her hand. Ravan came, fell down unconscious, and he left. An entire list of kings is written in Valmiki Ramayan who came to try to take Sita as wife. Now you will ask the question, how is it possible that Ravan accepted defeat? Just before Janak Maharaj announced the Swayamvar of Sita, he asked Lord Brahma for help. He said to Lord Brahma, this is a very dangerous game because many people, they are so infatuated with Sita that if they do not get what they have come to take, there will be chaos, especially if that guy from Lanka comes. Therefore, Lord Brahma, he gave Janak Maharaj 2 boons. He said, number 1, nobody will be able to take Sita by force at the Swayamvar. And secondly, nobody will be able to force Janak Maharaj to hand over Sita. Respecting the wishes of Lord Brahma, even Ravan accepted defeat. Lord Ramchandra, he saw 5,000 men pulling the Dhanush of Lord Shiva into the place where he was standing. Lord Ramchandra, he opened up the iron case. Valmiki describes there was a case. He opened up the iron case. Now there is some intimate engagements between Sita and Ram that you will never hear in a katha. Because all of us have our friends. I'll tell you what Sita said to Anasuya. Sita said to Anasuya that Nimesh Antara Matrena, that you probably can't see this from where you are, but Lord Ramchandra, he winked at Sita. Can you believe? Lord Ramchandra, Madhyada Purushottam, he winked at Sita. And Sita tells this. Valmiki Rishi didn't know this. Maharishi Vyas doesn't know this. Lord Shiva doesn't know this. Lord Brahma doesn't know this. Nimesha, Antara, Matrena. In the time that Lord Ramachandra winked to Sita, he immediately lifted his bow. And as he lifted the Shivdanush with his left hand, he took his right hand, grabbed the thread, and he pulled it up to the top of the bow. And as he spinned it and turned it around the bow, he immediately moved the bow to his left hand side, and he grabbed the string, and as he bent the bow of Lord Shiva snapped. The noise was tumultuous. The entire heavens and the earth shook. Maharishi Parashuram, who is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, he was at Mandara mountain in Tapasya. He woke up. Lord Shiva, who is always meditating in the Himalayas, he woke up. Lord Brahma, who was on his lotus petal, started to move. Lord Brahma said, what has happened? Is the earth, the universe about to be destroyed? No. A small boy in his teens has broken the bow of Lord Shiva. Shri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. And immediately, Lakshmi Devi appeared as Mother Sita. And after that wink, he immediately received the beautiful garland of gold that Janak Maharaj had curated for Sita to place upon her choicest husband, who can match her in strength, who can match her in power, who can match her in virtues. And that was Lord Ramachandra. Immediately, they returned back to Ayodhya, and in Ayodhya, Nagari ho aisi Ayodhya si, Raghukul ka gharana ho. May a family of Lord Ramachandra enter into Ayodhya. Charan ho Raghav ke. May Lord Ramachandra's lotus feet with Sita enter into Ayodhya. And may Ayodhya become the residence of the hearts of all people to come, and for all people who are present at that time when Lord Ramachandra was victorious in being reunited with his internal energy, Mother Sita.
रघुकुल सा घराना हो, चरण हो राघव के, जहाँ मेरा ठिकाना हो। चरण हो राघव के, जहाँ मेरा ठिकाना हो। लक्ष्मण सा भाई हो,
कौशल्या आई हो,
स्वामी तुम जैसा मेरा रघुराई हो, स्वामी तुम जैसा मेरा रघुराई हो। नगरी हो अयोध्या सी, रघुकुल सा घराना हो, चरण हो राघव सी जहाँ मेरा ठिकाना हो, चरण हो राघव सी जहाँ मेरा ठिकाना हो।
वो त्याग भरत जैसा,
सीता सी नारी हो, लव कुश के जैसे संतान हमारी हो, लव कुश के जैसे संतान हमारी हो। श्रद्धा हो श्रवण जैसी,
शबरी सी भाती हो,
हनुमत के जैसे निष्ठा और शक्ति हो, हनुमत के जैसे निष्ठा और शक्ति हो। मेरी जीवन नैया हो, प्रभु राम खवैया हो, राम कृपा की सदा मेरे सिर पर छैया हो, राम कृपा की सदा मेरे सिर पर छैया हो। नगरी हो अयोध्या सी, रघुकुल सा घराना हो, चरण हो राघव की जहाँ मेरा ठिकाना हो, चरण हो राघव की जहाँ मेरा ठिकाना हो, चरण हो राघव की जहाँ मेरा ठिकाना हो।
How beautiful, huh? How beautiful. The meditation of Lord Ramchandra coming back to Ayodhya, may that be the embodiment of our heart's desires and the object of our meditation. When Lord Ram was living with Sita for 12 years, as teenagers, newly married couple, they were enjoying each other's company, and in the midst of that great crescendo of love between Sita and Ram, all of you know the story that led on to their exile for 14 years. When Lord Ramchandra had explained to Mother Kaushalya about the reasons why he needs to go to exile, the conversation between Mother Kaushalya and Lord Ramchandra, you should all read. It is like you would never have read in any story, fiction or fact, seeing on TV or ever heard. Mother Kaushalya was a great worshipper of Lord Vishnu. In fact, Valmiki Ramayan explains that Mother Kaushalya had just finished Aarti to a Vishnu deity when Lord Ram walked in. The conversation that they had, unfortunately, we don't have time to explain. But if you ever would like to hear about the interaction between karma, destiny, fate, blessings, and free will, this conversation explains it all. It's a very complicated topic, but mother and son in Valmiki Ramayan at this point explain the science of the interaction of these tattvas, of these elements in all of our lives. After this conversation, Lord Ramchandra went back to his home, where Sita was dressing up for the ceremony that was about to take place a few hours in the afternoon. Sita saw that Lord Ram had his head hanging down and he looked extremely pale, Valmiki explains. And Sita asked Lord Ram, "What happened? What's wrong? Where are your brothers? Where are your servants? Where are the musicians? Why are you not wearing your ceremonial robes? The entire country has come together to welcome you and coronate you as the Prince of Ayodhya. In fact, your mother," Valmiki Rishi explains, "from the time that Lord Ramchandra received this sacred thread, Saptadash, Kaushalya mother waited 17 years from the time that Lord Ram received his thread to become crown prince. Every detail has this been described in the Valmiki Ramayan. And one of the most beautiful aspects of the Valmiki Ramayan is that with every age, the constellations and the zodiac, the celestial astronomical positions have also all been described, so that you can evidentially verify how this is history and not a myth. Valmiki Rishi very scientifically explains each and every episode, which is why it's 24,000 verses. Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. When Lord Ramchandra responded to Sita, he said to her that Bharat, my brother, is about to become king. Please serve him. He actually said, in the presence of Bharat, never talk about me. Never glorify me. Never speak about me. Let Bharat become king. I need to go somewhere for 14 years. I'll be back. But I have something to do for 14 years. She said, what do I do for 14 years? He said, very simple. You serve my parents. You worship the deity. You know, all the typical things men will say to their wives. You cook or whatever. Go out, see your friends. Sita, in her response to Lord Ramachandra, you are going to get a glimpse of her attitude and her character. And if we have time, I would love to tell you about her response to Ravan when he tried to be very romantic to Sita. What was Sita's response when Ravan tried to be very romantic to Sita? And if you hear the responses, you will never believe this was Sita. This gives us the insight on the character of the goddess of fortune. Sita, when she heard Lord Ram say, serve the parents, be at home, look after my brother, just wait for me, I'll come back in 14 years' time. She said, Kim idham bhashase Rama. Why are you making me laugh at you? That is the first word Sita said to Lord Ram. Why are you bhashase? Why are you making me laugh at you? She said, do you think, I won't say the I word because it's not so respectful, okay, sitting over here in front of all of you, but she basically said, do you think I'm narrow-minded? You can guess what the I word is, okay? The next letter is D. Okay? She said that to Lord Ram. Do you think I know what my duties are. There is no need for you to tell me. I know exactly what to do. And Sita mentioned that in life, mothers, fathers, daughter-in-laws, sons, daughters, brothers, all of them have to go through their own karma. But let me tell you something. For a wife, her duty is to always accompany her husband. Therefore, I am coming with you. Wherever you go, I will be there with you. I am not staying over here. Lord Ramchandra disagreed. He began to debate her. This debate is 5 chapters long. The Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. 5 chapters long. Sita's intelligence, her knowledge, her awareness, it is beyond the words of the rishis. It is beyond what scriptures can capture. Valmiki Rishi, he was benedicted by Lord Brahma that he would enter into the minds of the characters of the Ramayan, and in doing so, try to capture somewhat their thoughts. This is how we come to understand these words in the Valmiki Ramayana. And then Lord Ramchandra, in chapter 3 of this conversation, he begins to frighten Sita. He says, do you know that there are some Rakshasas in Dandakaranya? I'll tell you what they do. When people go to meditate, the time when their entire body is full of stillness and it's plump and it's radiant and it's buzzing with spirituality. When devotees and sages and yogis are in meditation, in samadhi, at that time these Rakshasas come to bite the heads of those in samadhi. These are the kind of people that live in Dandakaranya. Every insect, every animal is poisonous. Every stone is poisonous. How are you going to live in Dandakaranya in exile? And that for 14 years. Sita said, actually, all of the things you said to me sound really nice. That's actually what she said. They sound really good. I'm still going to join you. It doesn't matter what you say. In fact, I know who you are. If any of the Rakshasas or these poisonous animals or insects, when they see Lord Ram, they will run away. I have nothing to fear. I'm going to stay with you for 14 years. Lord Ramchandra said, no. Another chapter was discussed. Back and forth, back and forth. Then, at the end of the 5th chapter, Sita gives 3 arguments. The last argument is hilarious. Okay? The first argument, Sita actually mentions Lakshanibhyo Dujadibhyaha. When I was young, at my father's home, I had my palm read. Anyone believe in palmistry? Here's your evidence. Sita said, I had my palm read. And when I had my palm read, I was told, Vanavasa Kritotsaha Nityam Eva Mahabala. With some really strong man, your future husband, you will enter Vanvas. So Ram, it's in my palms. I have to join you. Ram said, as many men say, I don't believe in astrology. Sorry, palmistry. Sita said, okay, I'll give it number 2. She said, Balyamam vikshakaschidvai jyotish shastra visharadaha. When I was at my father's home, my father arranged for my astrological reading. And in my astrological reading, it also states that I will enter and live in the forest with my husband. Now, Jyotish Shastra is the eye of Krishna. Veda Chakshusha. Ram couldn't go against it, but he said, it doesn't matter. Let that be. You're not coming. Then Sita became extremely fed up. She placed her left and right hand on her hips, and she said, I'm now going to have to just say it as it is, or as it was. And Sita says to Lord Ram, and after hearing this, Lord Ram just kept silent and said, okay, you got me. Sita says, Ramayanani bahushaha, shrutani bahubirdujaha, Sitam bina vanam ramo, gataha kim kutra chidvada, athastvaya gamishyami sarvata tvat sahayini. Sita said, since I was a child, my father has had many kathakars. Many scholars come home to recite different stories. I have read so many versions. I have heard so many versions of the Ramayana. You tell me, Ram, in which Ramayana does Sita not go to the forest with Ram? Tell me, Ram, which Ramayana is there that Ram goes on his own? Even you cannot go against this point. Then Ram said, you got me. You can come. It is true. In every Ramayana, Sita always joins Lord Ramchandra. Immediately, they traveled to Dandakaranya after meeting Anasuya and Atri. And when they went to Dandakaranya, they visited the ashram of a rishi, a great devotee, whose name was Sarabhang. And they explained to Sita and Ram, they were now in their 13th year of exile. And they explained that actually the Rakshasas, the inimical individuals who have taken over our places of meditation and worship have on a daily basis been annihilating us devotees. Please can you protect us? At that point, Lord Ram, as you know, he took the vow to cleanse the entire earth of Rakshasas. The very first time Lord Ramachandra entered into a duel with Kara and Dushana and Tirashas. As you know, Lord Ramachandra, he fought alone with 14,000 Rakshasas. And having defeated them, including Kara and Dushana, when Lord Ramachandra came back to Lakshman and Sita, who were waiting for him in the cottage, Lord Ram's body had cuts, bruises, and at many parts of Lord Ram's body, there was blood oozing. Sita Maya, she asked Lord Ram, come and sit on my lap. Lord Ramchandra sat on Sita's left lap. Sita, using her right empty hand, Maharishi Valmiki explains, she placed her hand on every part of Lord Ram's body that was cut, injured, and bruised. And wherever she placed her hand, that part became cured. That was the power of Mother Sita. Let alone her not being unable to manage herself in Ashok Vatika. It's absolutely impossible. She was somebody, just by placing her hand, was able to heal the wounds of God Himself. That is the power of Sita. When Sita and Lord Ramchandra realized that now we have to enter into our next stage of our pastimes, it was at that very moment that the episode of Surpanaka took place. All of you know, I can't dwell on this part because we have to cover the other few parts in a few minutes. But after Lakshman mutilated Surpanaka, you know she went back to Ravan and said to Ravan, this Sita, who you lost, remember, many years ago, she's back. This is your chance. You can now take her because Brahma's boon has no impact on where we are today. That boon was only for that moment of the Swayamvar. She described Sita's beauty. Ravan became infatuated despite being married to Mandodari. Ravan, as you know, he asked Marich to become a deer by which Ram can become distracted, after which he will then kidnap Sita. When Ravan asked Marich to do this, Marich explained, do you know, when Ram was a child with Maharishi Vishwamitra, when I was disturbing the yajna of Maharishi Vishwamitra, child Ram simply threw one arrow and I landed 800 miles far into the ocean between Sri Lanka and India. That is why I am here to this day. And in fact, recently, a few days ago, I actually became a deer and I visited Sita, Ram and Lakshman. And Ram noticed that I'm back. He done the same thing again to me. This time he threw a grass. Again, I landed 800 miles back in the very same place where he threw me many years ago. There is no way am I coming in front of Ram, Lakshman and Sita. Then you know the story. Ravan threatened to kill Marich, and Marich said, better I die at the hands of Ram than someone like Ravan. So he agreed. He became a golden deer with silver spots. His horns were like gems. His feet were decorated with ornaments. And you know the story on how he attracted Sita's attention. However, what is extremely important to note was just before Marichi appeared as a deer, Ram said to Sita, Ravano Bhikshu Rupena, that Ravan is about to appear as a bhikshuk, as a sannyasi, asking for alms. Agamishyati te antikam. He's about to come. In fact, he's on his way over here. Tvam tu chayam, tvad akaram. From your body, create a shadow, a replica form. Stapayityati vortajevisha, and place the shadow form of Sita outside the cottage. And then you, Sita, enter into Agni. They had just completed a fire sacrifice. So Ram said, you enter into Agni. And for 1 year, you go and visit Lord Shiva and Parvati in Kailash. For 1 year, Sita was worshipped by Shiva and Parvati. And during that time, her shadow form existed and remained with Lord Ram in the cottage. And when Ravan came to take Sita, in the Bhavishya Puran it actually states, the Bhavishya Uttara Puran it states, that Agni himself manifested at that time. And he said to Ravan, this Sita who you are speaking to is actually fake. The real Sita is with me. Therefore let me swap them. So Agni, who was the worshipful deity of Ravan said, yes, I believe you. So the real Sita at that point walked into the fire. And then from the fire manifested Devi Vedavati. Devi Vedavati, the great sage who worshipped Lord Vishnu for tens and thousands of years, begging Lord Vishnu, please become my husband. Please marry me. At the time when Devi Vedavati was about to complete her tapasya, Ravan came and abused her. Vedavati said, my tens and thousands of years of worship, begging Lord Vishnu to take me as his wife, you have ruined. You have touched my body. How can I give this body to Lord Vishnu now? She immediately jumped and committed suicide in fire. And she said, I will manifest again through fire to cause your destruction. Lord Ramchandra fulfilled the prophecy of Vedavati. Many years later, when Ravan's own nephew, Nalakuber, when he was engaged with the celestial Rambha, Ravan became infatuated with the fiancée of his own nephew. Can you believe this? And he forced himself onto Rambha. And he again molested and abused her. And this is when Ramba and Nalukuber cursed Ravan that if you are to ever force any female, you will die instantly. To make these two prophecies come true, Sita entered Agni for 1 year, and out came Vedavati. When Vedavati was taken by Ravan, it is said in the Adhyatma Ramayan that Ravan had actually scooped up the earth underneath Chaya Sita. We'll call her Sita for ease of understanding. And he placed the earth with Sita on top in his Pushpak Viman. And Sita was crying so piteously, so loudly, that Ravan actually became fearful. We will end in 5 minutes. I'm so sorry that we've run out of time. But Prabhupada's about to leave. So just the request was that we all just put our hands together. You can stand as well to greet Prabhupada as he leaves. And then we'll continue for the next 5 minutes. Thank you. They can sit down. You can say. You can say. Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you. His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki. Thank you very much. You can all be seated now. First of all, my apologies to His Grace Sri Radha Raman. I caught you mid-flow. So now we have to rewind a little bit, and we're going to extend the time that you can stay on stage. And because I think you're all enjoying this wonderful kata, right? Yeah, you want more, don't you? Okay, so we'll continue for at least another 15, 20 minutes. Can you have more? I'm sure you have hours we could stay.
I'm so sorry you have to tolerate me for the...
This is wonderful. and again, my apologies, but Srila Prabhupada was running late and I was getting told off. So thank you very much for your patience, and we will try and pick up the story where we left. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If you're getting bored, you can leave, okay? Thank you. Just got a few more points. So we were at the point when Ravan had taken Sita. There is the Balakand, then we have the Ayodhya Kand, then the third chapter is the Kishkinda Aranya Kand, then Kishkinda Kand, then Sundar Kand. Sundar Kand, the chapter number 5, right? 5, yes. 6 is Yuddha Kand, and 7 is Uttarakhand. Chapter 5, Sundar Kand. Please read, because Sundar Kand is actually very Sundar. Sundar Kand is all about Pavan Putra, Hanuman. And the relationship between Hanuman and Sita, it's so sweet, it's so beautiful. We don't have any time to talk about it at all. But it's huge, the whole Sundar Kand. In the Sundar Kand, when Hanumanji came to meet Sita, he said to Sita, come on my back, come and climb on my back, and I will take you right now to the shores of the ocean where Lord Ramchandra is waiting for you. Please come. And Sita then said, Naham sprashtum swato gatram ichcheyam vanarottamam. She said, Hanuman, you are my son, you are my devotee, but guided by my own love for Lord Sri Ram, I never like to be touched by any other person, by any other man. And then she said to Hanuman, when Ravan came, Ram wasn't there, and he took me by force. I had no choice at that point, but I myself will not come as you requested, because I do not want to be touched by any other person. Naham sprishtam. No one else should touch me apart from Sri Ram. And then Hanuman said, but when I go to see Ram and tell Ram that I have seen Sita, what is the evidence? What is the proof? Then Sita said, I will tell you two things that nobody knows. Okay? The first is a maha secret, and the second is so deep that when Ram hears about the second thing, he will instantly remember me, his father, and his father-in-law. The first thing, you tell Lord Ram, when we were living in Chitrakoot, you had gone to the Ganga to bathe, and you came out with wet clothes. At that time, it was quite late at night. And while you were wet, you came and sat beside me, and you placed your head in my left lap. This is the actual detail in the Ramayan. I'm not making any of this up. And your wet head and your wet body lied on my lap. And at that time, you fell asleep. The son of Indra, Jayant, came as a crow. And when he saw me, he started to peck on my chest. And he was pecking so much that I managed to look at him and he went away. But you were just about to wake up and I patted you back to sleep. At that time, your clothes became dry. So you were sleeping very nicely. Jayant, the crow, came back. And this time, he started to peck at my chest. So much so that he was removing flesh from my body. This is what happened. And then blood started to drip from my chest, and I feared that my blood will be felt by you, and that's exactly what happened. Sita's blood dripped onto the forehead of Lord Ram. Lord Ram immediately woke up. You think Karna is strong. Many people think Karna is so powerful that a small spider was biting him and he tolerated it so that his guru, Parashuram, wouldn't be disturbed. And what happened? There was a point where Karna was unable to tolerate anymore. But Sita didn't flinch when flesh was being pecked from the hard beak of a crow, the son of Indra, Jayant. Can you see the power of Sita? Compare it to Karna. There is no match. That is Sita. Lord Ram, from his seat, he pulled out a kusha grass and he chanted the mantra of the Brahmastra. The kusha grass became empowered as a Brahmastra and he threw it. The kusha grass chased Jayant all over the universe. Jayant went to Lord Shiva. Shiva said, go away, I ain't helping you. Went to Brahma. He said, this is it. I have nothing to do with you. I'm breaking my friendship with you. He even went to his own father, Indra. Indra said, I can't help you. And then Brahma said, go back and beg forgiveness from Sita and Ram. Only they can forgive you. Jayant requested Ram for shelter, and Ram said, fine. However, because you were associating with a demoniac person, therefore, you will have to get the consequence of what you've done. There was actually a demon whose name is Kuranga, and he had invested himself in the right eye of Jayant. So Lord Ramchandra said, this Brahmastra can't become Vipal. It has to have a target. So I will ask the Brahmastra to remove your right eye from you. So you both become purified. You get the consequence of your karma. And also, the demon Kurangana also becomes perished. In this way, Hanuman, tell Ram, when you threw a Brahmastra at a crow, why is it you haven't come to take me? When Ravana has kidnapped your wife in your very presence. What is the wait? What is the delay? In fact, 10 months have passed. Dashamasa gataha. Ravana said, I only have 2 months left. I feel in 1 month my life here will go. Tell Ram, if you can shoot a Brahmastra at a crow, why don't you come and rescue me from Ravan? And secondly, give this Chudamani to Lord Ram. This Chudamani has been hidden in my hair for all this time. The Chudamani, which is like, you can ask the ladies, I'm sure, I don't really know what it is, because the ladies will know better. It's like a hair clip. When do you get a hair clip? And this hair clip was in my hair, and the fact that Sita had kept it in her hair showed that she was not mismanaged by Ravan. But how was it possible for Sita to maintain the Chudamani in her hair all this time for 10 months? Give this to him. When Hanuman returned to Ram, he did not say the word Sita. If he had said Sita to Ram, Ram would have become unconscious because Ram was waiting for some good news. He said, Drishtva Sita, I have seen. I have seen. I have seen Sita. Ram was able to then receive the name Sita after many months, 4 months of looking for her. And then when Ram received the story from Hanuman, he knew this story only Sita and me knew. And when he received the Chudamani, Tatha Mamapi Hridayam, Lord Ram placed the Chudamani to his chest and he began to weep with Lakshman. And when he heard from Hanuman that Sita would die in 1 month, listen to what he said. Ram said, Kshanam Veera Najiveyam. He said, actually, it's really good that Sita can survive for 1 month without me because Vinatam Site Kshamam. That without Sita, the dark, blue-eyed lady, Tam, Site Kshanam, I am not able to live even for a moment. That was the love between Sita and Ram. 2 minutes. Okay. I'm going to fast forward many, many chapters. When Sita was taken by Ravan, Ravan came one day and he dressed up as Lord Ram. He grew his matted hair. He tried to beautify himself. But there was a problem. Lord Ram, he has a very particular mark on his stomach. And it basically states that Lord Ram on his stomach, he has 3 lines going horizontally and 1 line in the middle going vertically. It's very easy for someone like Ravan to create a one pack, but it's very difficult to create something that Lord Ram had. Ravan did his best to try to look like Lord Ram. And he came to Sita. And after 10 months, coming towards the end, he said to Sita that, look, listen, I, without even saying anything, I am falling at your feet. That is how much I am in love with you. At this point, when Sita heard how Ravan is trying to be romantic, what I said earlier, Sita mentioned that avak shiraha prapatito. How is it possible that you have spoken these words and your tongue hasn't fallen out from your mouth? She said to Ravan, you can never ever look like Ram, so don't try. In fact, you are not even good enough to be his slave. That is when Ravan actually clenched his fist and he was about to attack Sita, and Mandodari stopped him. In this way, the Ramayan goes on so beautifully. I wanted to explain to you about the story of how Sita had her Agni Pariksha and how she was then asked to go back to exile after 12 years later, and how after 12 years later, she asked Vasundhara to accept her in her womb, and by which she returned back to Mother Earth. But we have seriously ran out of time. I'm so very apologetic. We also had one more bhajan that I'm so sorry that we haven't had time to do. My apologies for this great delay of time between us. I'm very, very sorry. But I hope you all enjoyed my small attempts to share something so great. And anything that I said which was incorrect or inconvenient, please forgive me. And please bless us all to have the opportunity to come again together to talk about Mother Sita. Thank you all so very much. I would just like to very quickly thank the team here. And again, I'm so sorry about the next bhajan that we're unable to sing. On our flute, once again, was our great dear friend Jairaj. Thank you so much. We had Jigna and Rajan singing so beautifully. Thank you so much. Of course, Sunit on his wonderful tabla. Really grateful, Sunit. Sham Sundarji, once again, thank you so much for playing the kartal. And Ketan, thank you for the backing music on the keyboards. Thank you all so very much. And my apologies once again. We missed somebody? No, we mentioned, yes. Ketan, thank you so much. And Rajan. And the sound man. And obviously all of you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Well, you're sorry, but there's no one more sorry than me. That time has really, it's like a wave. It just comes, and before you know it, you're drowning in time. And so much so that they've started to close the festival site. And, they're closing the lights, and they need to turn my lights off and everything. So, listen, we were due to finish at 7:30. We had a little bit of a break, just to allow Srila Prabhupada to return to his quarters. But, we managed to get to 8 p.m. But this, to me, shows one thing. And I'm not sure if my wonderful audience members here will agree, is that 2 hours is not enough. Probably 4 hours is not enough. So how about, with the permission of His Grace Sri Radha Raman, that we consider maybe doing a 1, maybe 2 day? Would you attend? Would you? Because I mean, with how many thousand, 14,000 verses? I mean, normally the Ramayan, Ramayan takes many days. You know the Ram Kathas take sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days. In India, sometimes they last for 30 days. So I'm not suggesting we all gather here for 30 days. I don't think the management of Bhaktivedanta Manor will be happy with my suggestion there. But maybe we try and figure out sometime next year. I know you have some courses at the School of Bhakti that you're doing in February, the Mahabharat course, is that right? Yes? So have a look at the schoolofbhakti.com. But for now, leave it with me. If you are happy to return to another time, to be arranged, where we don't have to worry about what time we're going to finish, we can start earlier, and it would just be an exclusive event. How's about that? Yes? Okay, fantastic. Once again, please raise your hands, not just for the wonderful musicians on stage. Thank you very much. My apologies you didn't get to finish your final bhajan. To the wonderful musicians, let's show your appreciation. And of course, to His Grace, Sri Radha Raman Das. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So for now, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please go home. Respectfully. Please go for darshan, obviously, and have prasadam before you go. I think they may have finished serving prasadam, but go for darshan at least. Go around the lake and get to your cars. Have a safe journey home. Hare Krishna, happy Diwali and Ankut, and Happy New Year. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.